I suppose we ought to just have a quick look at why people should refer to you in the first place, or to another surgeon for hip replacement, and clinically, whether we should be suggesting this earlier than perhaps we would have done in the past. And typically, a few years ago, you wouldn't be told to go for replacement of anything unless it was so unbearably painful that you couldn't carry on.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a changing threshold. I think that has to be sort of sensibly put into the context of what might be normal non-operative management of hip arthritis. And so there's a couple of things that come into that. I mean, obviously, there's the longevity of the symptoms, there's the severity of the symptoms, there's the overall effect on that patient's function and quality of life. And ultimately, that's the driver for kind of any form of intervention, no matter what it would be. And it isn't logical to jump too many steps in the ladder. But equally, I think it's not also logical to keep going at something that isn't providing, the potential benefits that you might hope for. So I guess what I'd say to people on that perspective is it's clearly, if I see somebody it's unusual that I am, but occasionally, particularly in private practice, you might see somebody who hasn't seen anyone else for their arthritis and had any treatment at all, really. And I certainly am not going to be suggesting immediate surgery for the vast majority of those patients. So it's really about sort of educating them about the process and then usually packaging them off for a period of physiotherapy style interventions, relatively mild pain relief, and so on and so forth. I guess there is a number of sort of factors that I would bring into all of that. And, I think that both talking from an age perspective, a bit like we were just discussing, I think often I find that it's sort of in the wider sort of world that doesn't have such a sort of narrow sort of practice focus that I do, that people are still wary of offering joint replacements to younger patients, even in the setting of relatively significant pain and dysfunction. And I think that's definitely something that we need to debunk to a certain extent, because hip replacement, it isn't an age-related operation. It's a kind of symptom and function-related operation that the same balance of judgment will apply whether you're 20 or 70. I mean, obviously, there are potential consequences to having joint replacement at a younger age, and that has to come into the conversation, but it certainly shouldn't be a barrier to it either. And then I guess it's just about, understanding what that patient is going through and whether you're making progress. I think that's the key point. If your patient is managing to do the things they want to do with minimal amounts of pain and discomfort, there isn't a huge rush to do much about that, because they can carry on doing that for as long as they like. But if they're finding that they are being progressively more limited, and that may be slightly different for a patient in their 40s or 50s than a patient in their 70s or 80s, they are having to make their life smaller and make their activities less as a result of significant hip pain, then and it isn't getting better and it isn't manageable with non-operative features, then it is worth a discussion about whether now is the time to consider more invasive procedures, if you like, because we know the outcomes from hip replacement are really good. We know we can get people back to doing high levels of activity for long periods of time. And I often find myself in conversation with my younger patients, saying it's not logical to me that you must suffer significant pain during your young life when you've got family commitments, social commitments, you're working hard, just to have a hip replacement when you retire. We need to be getting these people back to doing the thing that they want to do.